Hello and welcome back to Football 301. I am your host, Nate Tice. We continue our division preview series today with the NFC South. Falcons, Bucks, Saints, and Panthers. Should be a lot of fun, especially with who's joining me to do those previews today. We're first going to jump into some league news, but we're going to get to the previews. Don't worry, it'll be the large chunk of the show. But to help me do that, and a fan of one of these NFC South teams, my guy, Mr. Four Verts, Charles McDonald. How you doing today, Chuck? Owner of a new cat.
Owner of a new cat. Some stray cat has decided that my backyard is now its home. I guess it's because it's safe because there's a bunch of walls and no one ever goes back there except for me. And I'm certainly not going to attack a cat. So, I got to decide what I'm going to name him. And he's made a little play palace out of all the junk in my backyard that's getting picked up later this week. So we're going to have to adjust our relationship once that's gone. But I think I made a new friend.
Never have to worry about rats again. You know?
No, I don't.
I don't. Call him Bajan. Something like that to start with. We'll go with that. Yeah. But and the third member of our three-man weave, Matt Harmon. How you doing today, Matt? Good to see you. How many 3 shows today, right?
Oh, no, just 2. And thank God, because I landed back home from multiple little trips here less than 12 hours ago. So had a really fun experience with the Charlotte airport, which is basically like an annual.
Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. Yeah. It's so bad right now. But don't worry, I did spend my time productively there, which we'll get into when we get to the news here because I'm a sick freak. But anyways, yeah, I'm doing good and it's good to be here.
Google Docs, being able to do that on your phone really helps you out. When you're like, oh, I'm stuck here for an hour longer or 2 hours longer, it really helps if you have to get some work done. Charlotte Airport's one of the few airports I've never flown from. Flown from a ton, but I've heard nothing but things about it.
Don't go.
It's Denver Airport.
The Charlotte Airport was perfect like 20 years ago when the city was like half the size that it is now.
Yeah.
But it doubled. And now the airport is just way overpacked. And they're trying to, especially like around this time of year, because it's got like all the ESPN, ACC, SEC kickoff stuff in Charlotte. So it gets really, really congested for major events. It needs an expansion. Or you guys could just leave. That works too.
Just get out. We don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
That's why
I'm trying to go home, man.
That's all the Vegas people complain about too. All right, again, we're going to do our NFC South preview, and we're going to get a little bit of preseason week 1 discussion, one thing that all of us learned. But first, got not a little announcement, a big announcement. We're bringing the Football 301 crew to Sin City, Las Vegas, my place of residence. I was going to say hometown, but it's not. But our place of residence here in Las Vegas in a couple of weeks for a Yahoo Fantasy Kickoff Weekend on Friday, August 22nd and Saturday, August 23rd at the Venetian Resort right here in Vegas on the Strip from 5 to 7 p.m. on both nights. You can catch me, Matt, Mr. Verts over there, Charles McDonald, and the rest of the Yahoo Fantasy crew at the Yahoo Sportsbook inside the Venetian. We're going to have a meet and greet, a fantasy Q&A, and on Saturday night, we'll share our 10 biggest pieces of draft advice before the season starts. You won't want to miss it. It's going to be a ton of fun. Again, that's Friday, August 22nd and Saturday, August 23rd at 5 p.m. both days at the Yahoo Sportsbook inside the Venetian Resort in Las Vegas on the Strip. Also, it's free. So come hang out, come talk some ball with us. We'll have a great time. Excited to meet some of you that are going to come join us. Should be a ton of fun. And I get a nice 15-minute commute to do so. You guys have a little longer trips than I do.
Yeah, just a little
I'll be back in the Charlotte airport for my layover for that trip. So I might not see you guys until maybe Friday. So don't count on me.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. Matt's hours start at 9 p.m. That because his flight got delayed 4 hours, 5 hours. But no, make sure you come to that. We're looking forward to it. Excited to see all of you there. Do some live stuff as well. Should be a ton of fun at the Venetian. Again, August 22nd and August 23rd. All right, we're going to start the show off. One thing we learned. Matt, I'm going to start with you. What was one thing you learned from the opening weekend of preseason? Our first taste of NFL football for 2025.
Yeah, so since I was delayed in multiple airports yesterday. I got a lot of work done, including one thing because I'm a sick freak. I did a little charting of the Jaguars offensive players here, where they just where they lined up. No routes were charted, no success rates, none of that. But I was just curious about the alignment. And yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see my handwritten. If it gets in frame there, this is what it looks like.
Take a look at my life.
This is not the official documents of what reception perception looks like. This is just what I had available at the time. But anyways, so was interested in the alignment of the receivers. I have, and this is including plays that 2 plays were called back due to penalty. The first one on Anton Harrison, I believe another offensive pass interference / block in the back. There were 2 penalties on one play, but 13 snaps for BTJ, 12 for Travis Hunter, who I don't think played with the first team defense at all. He only played with the first team offense, which I thought was interesting. 9 snaps for De'Ami Parker, 2 for Parker Washington. Hunter was like 50-50 outside slot, but he was 83% of those 12 snaps off the line of scrimmage, whereas BTJ was 84.6% on the line of scrimmage, which I think makes sense for how these 2 guys are going to be used. Obviously, like I said, BTJ is going to play in the slot a little bit, but it'll probably be on the line of scrimmage to keep Travis Hunter off of it. De'Ami Brown was mostly outside, although he was in the backfield for 2 snaps because he was in like full speed motion in terms of one. He actually got a rush attempt on one of them. And Parker Washington was out there for 2 plays, outside, 1 off, 1 on the line of scrimmage. So I thought that was interesting to just take a note of how these, like very early clues about how these 2 receivers, Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter, are going to be deployed. I think it makes sense for what they're doing with Hunter, right? He got a screen target. That was one of the plays that was called back. Etienne was on the field a lot. So from a running back standpoint, that I think is notable. He had a 10-yard screen reception too. So just some early clues on how I think this offense is going to feel pretty dynamic in terms of the player usage, how they have 2 guys who can line up inside and out, 2 guys that can take snaps on the line of scrimmage. But again, especially Travis Hunter mostly being used off the line and in the slot a lot, I think is going to allow him to get a lot of free releases. They had him running a lot of quick in breakers. So just again, these early clues on the Jaguars wide receiver usage, and in addition to Travis Etienne being the guy that, like, all training camp, it sounded as Tank Bigsby's taking those first team reps, but actually it was Etienne out there. And I think in the preseason game, and that doesn't mean like, this is the final answer, right? In terms of what the running backs are going to look like, because I think Basil Tutin did play well later into the game. I watched a lot of that one live as well. But yeah, I thought that was Etienne's like receiving usage, especially on those screens. We know how productive the Buccaneers offense was last year, throwing screens to multiple players, but especially to Bucky Irving out of the backfield. That was at least, it looks like there's going to be some carryover there against that offenses this year.
Yeah, I think it's been curious for me, and why we'll talk about it later this week when we do the AFC South. But with the Jags and how they use Travis Hunter, I've been like, I want to see it. Like, yeah, they can say whatever. We'll see once the actual plays or the games are happening, who they're playing. And it was like, no, this is what they've been practicing like. He's a receiver first, and he's a spot DB, a role-playing DB that they use in high leverage situations. That's what it reads to me. So I'm glad you brought up the notes. Parker Washington always remains. I think he's going to be one of those guys that's annoyingly in the league for like 9 years. Like, it's just like,
I kind of like him though. I think he's a nice little useful player.
I do too. I know. I always keep and then honestly, and this is the bottom roster guy. This guy's not fantasy relevant or anything. They have Trent Irwin on their roster, which I actually kind of like because he's a nice backup guy and everything. But a lot of team speed. The Jags have a lot of team speed, like more than maybe I've even given them credit for. But we'll talk more about the Jags later this week. But good to use. I love the charting. That's literally that's quality control work right there. Right.
Shameful, truly shameful stuff, honestly, that I did that. But what else are you going to do at 10:30 p.m. at night in an airport other than, chart the games? I guess that's what we're doing.
Well, tabs. Paul Christ used to, so like he was not very good with computers. And what usually happens is like a coach will come work with their quality control coach or their GA and be like, all right, can you diagram these? Like put them into a computer so you can again save them, use them later. Paul hated that. He liked having the handwritten notes. So it was just so funny. I've been so many places where they're all nice and neat in those little squares. Everybody that's seen a playbook online, they all kind of look similar. But then our installs would just be his handwritten play diagrams, and it would just be copied for every player and every coach, and that's what we officially used. Hey, we scored a lot of points at Wisconsin.
Yeah, there you go.
But then when I got to Pitt, I was like, man, we gotta make this a little bit more formal. So I would start diagramming them, so we had like a system and everything. But that was like what he preferred. He's like, no, I'm gonna hand draw them, and you could just print them, just copy them, put them on the scanner, and print them, and just print them off for everybody. I'm good. I don't need a computer.
No, that's he's right. He's right by that, because there's so many studies on how you remember things better when you write them out. You know, that's why
I'm a huge handwritten note guy.
The first thing we used to do, like in high school, our head coach or our offensive line coach, he played for the Ravens, and what we would do every week, the first week of training camp, is we would sit there, you know, with the grid, and you got to draw like the plays up on it. We would just sit there and draw run plays against different fronts over and over and over and over again until we memorized them. We spent the first full week of training camp doing that for our indoor stuff. Yeah,
I'm sure people see. I have notebook after notebook in our closet over there. I cleaned out our closet this weekend, and I actually kept those notebooks, which I can't believe I did. I'm like, I am becoming an old man. But I just because I would just write everything down. It'd be like the 40th time I've installed Stick, and I just write it down. And just because it was just like easily retained, I had my own little coding system. Underline meant this, squiggly line meant this, square meant this. And you get around the NFL players, and it's like you see some guys using computers or iPads or something, and then you just see all like how many guys just have a handwritten notebook with their own little notes in there, centers and quarterbacks and stuff. It's important. I'm glad we got to talk about some handwritten note usage right here. But Charles, what was your week 1 of preseason takeaway? What did you learn this weekend?
Well, you know, I can't quit what's around me. So I was really interested in the Jets run game and really just their whole offense and how that was going to look. And I was pleasantly surprised with, you know, the first action of the Jets offense. And it wasn't just like the starting unit. Yeah, I was digging it. Like it wasn't just like even the starting unit. It's they looked like a team that was in need of a reset, you know, from where they had been dragging through the Aaron Rodgers stuff and the Zach Wilson stuff, because a lot of those guys on the team were still there through those quarterback changes. You get Aaron Glenn here, and it just felt like they finally got like maybe like the emotional reset they meant, because they were coming hard like for a preseason game in a way that we didn't even see them play in the regular season towards the end of last season, when it just kind of felt like they had given up on the season. But like the starting offense, they ran the ball well. Braelon Allen looks like he could potentially cut into Breece Hall's touches this year. The offensive line played well. Like Josh Myers had a good game at center for them this week. I thought Elijah Vera Tucker played well. Mambo played well. So they've invested a lot into being able to run the ball and wanting to run the ball. And I thought it looked good. And even later in the game, Donovan Edwards, a former Michigan back who is with the Jets now, he played a really strong game just in terms of some of the concerns you have about him at Michigan that kind of tanked his draft stock was, hey, this guy's really fast, but I don't know if he can see anything. Because after Blake Corum left, I think he had like 3 yards to carry, which doesn't make sense for a guy that's as explosive as he is. But it looked like he was starting to get back on the right track. So I just thought it was impressive that they bought in this quickly to whatever AG is selling, and the offense looked good. And I know it's just a preseason game, but seeing Justin Fields like get on the move and kind of add an extra threat to that offense was pretty fun. So I'm doubling down on this is like the favorite offense that maybe you don't want to watch every week, but it's going to be an absolute play against your defenses.
They're my 2022 Falcons. That was just. They're not going to be good.
So
but I love this run game.
Yeah. They're going to hurt people, man. They're going to hurt people.
They are. They're going to beat up some bad teams. And also on top of it, Justin Fields looks great in that uniform, wearing number 7.
Yeah.
If nothing else, he looks really, really cool in the Jets uniform, the Jets whites that they use. Sauce Gardner looked phenomenal.
Dude, he's back.
I know preseason.
Yeah, he's trying again.
It's Packers starters. Yeah, I mean, he was all over the place. He wants to carry again. My prediction is Braelon Allen. This is his backfield by the end of the season. Not Breece Hall's lost some vision. Like I don't think he really trusts it right now. And they've already had some stuff kind of come out like a little bit like, oh, we don't really know about an extension for Breece, so we got to work on it. Like, when you look at the Jets right now, Matt? What do you kind of think of their offense? Maybe just what they can be this year? What any optimism? Anyone outside of Garrett Wilson? Anything like? What's your vision for them?
Well, yeah, Breece Hall's like cryptic tweeting too. You know, like time will tell or whatever. something like that.
Internet,
I feel like there's
Open
a chance he's a Dallas Cowboy at some point by like the end of the year. Just that actually would make a lot of sense probably for both parties because they certainly. I was at the Fantasy Football Expo this weekend and like people are drafting Cowboys running backs. I'm like, have some self-respect. I mean, I did pay $1 for Miles Sanders in a salary cap draft. So like just trying to get out of here.
Football Expo.
Dude, the biggest convention of the coolest guys you've ever met.
How bad did it smell?
I'm no comment officially on that.
The same as the board game expos I've been to.
Board game expo. That's some cool guy stuff. But anyways, yes, no, definitely the coolest thing that I do. It's a great time. A lot of wonderful people. Yeah, sure. Anyways, but I love that your comparison about the 2022 Falcons too, because a lot of people say like, oh, Garrett Wilson, he's going to have a bunch of targets this year. I actually think he could have a 2022 Drake London season where he has 29% of the targets, and that equals 117 targets because they run the football so much this year in New York. But yeah, I really think this. I mean, even Isaiah Davis mixing in with the starters too, like that is very much they're throwing everything at it. I do think they really lack for a second option in the receiving game. Mason Taylor, rookie, he's a rookie tight end. He has a high ankle sprain. Sounds like Josh Reynolds is, hit the established second receiver, and he's not really like a needle moving player at this point. So yeah, I think if they are definitely going to be a bully ball offense, and as long as the defense can keep them in games, and I am high on this defense turning it around this year, I think they can probably pull off that style of play to not be a good team, but a frisky team.
Yeah, a bad team beater is like the line I like to give because they're physical and all that stuff. They have Tyler Johnson taking significant snaps. Tyler Johnson's like one of my pet back of roster QBs, and he's taking real snaps. So like that kind of speaks to the receiving.
He's played like for like 6 teams. I mean,
yeah.
And every team signs him for the same reason. Oh man, he does some dirty work stuff. He's strong, and then he's gone 6 months later. No, all right. And Armand Mabao, though, you mentioned him, Charles, too. Their first round pick right tackle. He looked great. So that offensive line is going to be like a top 10 unit this year. Like it's a good identity to kind of build around. All right, I'm going to get on to mine. Staying in New York, I'm buying Braelon Allen stock. That was my other one. But the Giants' defensive line looks scary. Abdul Carter looks real, which I think a lot of us expected him to look real. But man, just right away, already had 3 pressures on 3 pass rush attempts. That's a pretty good start to a preseason. And a couple against Deion Dawkins, which is always nice. Had just overall, I mean, we were all optimistic about this defense, or at least had there's an angle there. There's a path there to optimism, but it starts with the defensive line. Abdul Carter looking real is a big deal. Brian Burns is a Pro Bowl quality edge player, plays a run really well. Of course, Dexter Lawrence is a defensive player of the year candidate. Just those 3 is enough to create a good defensive line. And then they just got nice role players on top of it. But Giants defensive line looks very real. I think this could be a top 10 unit if a couple guys on the back end hold up, but it all starts with that front, and that front looked really good. So even though this is going to be the quote unquote bad team of the NFC East, with the other 3 teams that have aspirations for not only playoffs, but winning playoff games, got to go against the Giants defense. Hopefully you don't have some O-line injuries when you need a win in week 14. Hopefully you have your starters out there because they're going to be coming after you. So it was cool to see that they started kind of ripping and roaring. But anything else from this that Giants game? I'm surprisingly not talking about the offense because I got to see a little bit more. But what'd you think about maybe the rest of the Giants, Charles?
I thought the Giants defense, they had an interesting game. I mean, I sadly this is another game that I watched live, like almost front to back. I've been watching more preseason games, like the regular season NFL games, as I get older. I don't know what's happening to me, but it was cool to see their front. It was cool to see their front and how they got after it. I thought Darius Alexander, their 3rd round pick, has some nice snaps up front from Toledo. And once you get like the full thing with Dexter Lawrence in the picture, I think it's just going to make Abdul Carter more deadly, because we've seen Dexter Lawrence turn into one of the most devastating interior rushers in the league. Like, you have to get 2 bodies on him most of the time, and that's just going to leave one-on-ones for Abdul Carter, which we saw this past weekend, that he's able to at least get some wins against some quality offensive linemen and win those one-on-one matchups. Because if you can get space, then he can win with his speed. And when you have Dexter Lawrence out there, it's going to create a whole lot of space. The one, I guess, interesting thing, and maybe from a negative standpoint, was Deonte Banks was in this game for a long time. Like
Yep.
he was in that game for a long time. Because I remember I looked up, it was at the mid or late second quarter, and he got beat on a play. I was like, oh no, because he's talented, man. Like that rookie season did happen, but it seems like, you know, sometimes like we've seen this with guys where sometimes the first thing you do is the best thing you do, and you just kind of fall down from there. And hopefully he gets it back together, because I think he is the kind of the missing link for this defense. If he's bad and they got to go put some other random corner out there, or if he's just bad and playing all season, that could ruin a lot of things that they're trying to build right now.
He refuses to turn for the football. It's one of the most. It's one of those things I watch. He does not look for the football. And it's one of these things where it's after you see the receiver's eyes or visor, you hear it. I don't know, like just turn, get your hand up. Like he stays with guys. He just doesn't turn. It's so strange.
That's why I can't get like all the way on board with this defense, man. Like you said it. It's I think this is an awesome front, but it's kind of, you do have to go just. Don't look at the corners. Don't look at that spot in particular. And I mean, it dawns on me too that like every day the Giants seem to post like multiple training camp Malik Neighbors highlights, and their corners are just getting deep right, left and right. I know Neighbors is awesome, but at some point you got to think those guys are like, geez, the team is engagement farming at our expense, and they're just getting completely cooked out there. And I would in training camp, again, he's a great player, whatever, but it happens in the real games too.
Yes. It absolutely does. It happened in the preseason game. And then even offensively, though, some of their young guys look decent. You mentioned Neighbors, but Theo Johnson, I'm bullish on their tight end, and he's looking good. And then Marcus Bowe, their little tackle that they drafted on day 3 that we were higher on, and he looked good right away too. So yeah, Giants have some interesting young guys. I know a lot of attention's on the quarterback, Jackson Dart, who had a couple nice things. I think he really has to speed up that clock in his head to be playable. But yeah, I mean, it's a wait and see. It's one preseason game. That's why I don't want to make any outlandish statements about quarterbacks. But anyways, no, Giants defense front, really interesting. Think that whole defense could be interesting, especially in that division. That they can be a nice little kind of, I was gonna say a wild card, but I don't mean a wild card team. Nice little chaos thrown into that division with that front.